Hey, that was easy. This is Ricky. He's a raider, like taking candy from a baby. And he just got his hands on a Pip-Boy. You see, Ricky isn't like other raiders. Ricky is smart. Very smart, actually. And he has big aspirations. Most raiders just raid settlements, steal caps, and shoot at anyone that passes by, and that's fine for them, but Ricky wants more. He doesn't just want to be another raider. He wants to be the best raider. He wants to become the big boss of a gang and take over the whole Commonwealth. So come along and watch as Ricky makes his way through the wasteland on his journey to become the best raider in all of post-apocalyptic Massachusetts. After leaving the area where he found that dumb vault dweller, Ricky came across the town of Concord, where a raider gang seemed to be attacking some settlers. He could have tried to intervene, maybe even join up with them, but Ricky had bigger plans than some small-time gang. He came across a local trader named Trashcan Carla. Ricky knows how to be intimidating, so he successfully mugs the mean merchant.
So what's your story? Looking to trade? Rob me? Or just ask directions to Diamond City?
Yeah, money. All of it. Now.
Yeah, I know the drill. This ain't my first mugging. Here. Now leave me alone.
It's only 50 caps, but it's more about what that represents. You see, in that moment, Ricky had power, real power, to take what he wanted, and that is what raiding is all about. Anyway, immediately after this, a Mr. Gutsy robot and Supermoons appeared, and Ricky somehow survived this encounter before continuing down the road, where it appeared a chem dealer was demanding a shop owner pay up.
You owe us.
I ain't giving you poison-shilling chem pushers anything. Do you know what that junk has done to my boy?
He bought them fair and square, Trudy. Ain't our fault if he's strung out. Now don't make me come in there and shoot up that little trading post of yours. Whoa, easy there, scammer. This doesn't involve you.
You stop waving that gun in my face, or it's gonna involve me.
Okay, just take it easy. We'll lower our weapons, alright? Just don't do anything crazy.
Now hand over your money. All of it.
Just keep calm, alright? Here. That's everything I have.
What's going on here?
It's a simple business dispute, got it? Trudy's sitting on a pile of goods that she owes me. I tried reasoning with her, but it looks like I gotta take what's mine by force. Want to make some easy money? Help me out. I could use another gun. Or maybe you think you can talk some sense into her.
I'll talk to her. Maybe we can work this out.
I'd appreciate it.
Ricky knew that in the
Things go
long term, it would be
sideways.
more useful to keep both of these traders alive, so he would try to resolve this peacefully. Not out of the goodness of his heart or anything, but purely for the sake of making more caps.
Hi.
I saw you in that poison cellar talking. Well, he ain't getting his money. Period.
Look, you owe them money. If you just pay him, then this'll be over. Everyone walks away without getting hurt.
All right, I'll pay.
We get paid and I don't even gotta shoot nobody. Good job. Here. Now how about I show you all the pick-me-ups I have to offer?
Ricky sold some stuff he had collected for even more caps before noticing an old drive-in movie theater nearby. It was inhabited by some mole rats, but they were no trouble. He figured this place would make a good home base, so he got to work making the back room into a home, and he's pretty satisfied with the results. After this, he went hunting for Radstag, only to notice his gun appeared to be covered in rainbow glitter. He figured this must be due to some chems he took earlier, and definitely not the fault of the person making this video installing mods incorrectly. Anyway, Ricky continued on his way and picked up some Walton Goggins. He reached the outskirts of Lexington, where he had his first encounter with the raider gang that inhabits the city. Though there were only a few raiders, this proved to be a bit of a challenge for Ricky, but he managed to survive and continue on. He took a cigarette break and looked over at the Corvega assembly plant, the base of the raiders that make up the gang that rules Lexington. Taking out this gang is a goal of Ricky's, as this would make him known to all the other gangs in the Commonwealth, but he knew he wasn't ready to take on this gang just yet. He would need to come back later when he had better gear and a proper plan. Turning back, he came across a scavenger who seemed to be trying to get into a bunker. He was hostile to Ricky, so he held back and waited to see what would happen. The scavenger triggered the explosive and ran to see what the bunker had in store, but Ricky struck first to claim the treasure for himself. Turns out the bunker was just an old fallout shelter with not much of use inside. Oh well, still a neat find. Ricky stopped by home base before deciding he should head towards the largest city in the Commonwealth, Diamond City. Plenty of raiders have tried to raid the place, to no avail, but none had tried to infiltrate the city by posing as a common settler. And that's exactly what Ricky planned to do. On the way, he found an old apartment building with 2 raiders. He snuck behind them and threw a bottle cap mine, which took them out but also crippled both of Ricky's arms. Thankfully, stim packs are miracles sent from God which can immediately heal broken limbs. Outside, he found a pipe that led to the basement of the Corvega assembly plant. He took note of this, as when the time came to attack the place, knowing about this entrance would be useful. Not much else notable happened on the way to Diamond City. Ricky scavenged, fought some mutated creatures, avoided some soldiers asking for help, and then came across 2 men having an argument.
Help! Please, you gotta help me. This guy's a synth, and he's gonna kill me and replace me and my family. Oh, God. My kids. Don't you dare bring them up. He's the synth, and he wants to replace me. Please. Please, you gotta believe me. You can't let that thing do this.
This is none of my business.
No. You can't. He's gonna kill me.
Ricky had heard of synths, but never met one. On his body was a strange component, but Ricky was more concerned with the outfit. This green coat getup would make a perfect disguise for Ricky to get into the Great Green Jewel. Finally arriving at the ballpark, Ricky met a reporter who helped him get inside. Inside the gate, the mayor was waiting to get into an argument with the reporter. Ricky tried to slink by, but she wouldn't let him get away that easy.
Why don't we ask the newcomer? You support the news? Because the mayor's threatened to throw free speech in the dumpster.
This really isn't any of my business.
No, I didn't mean to bring you into this argument, good sir. No. You look like Diamond City material.
It seemed the disguise worked wonders, and Ricky made his way into Diamond City, a place brimming with opportunity to make caps. Lots of caps. He immediately went to the bar to get a drink and meet some of the townsfolk. He rented a room to stay the night, and inside was a nice sweater vest and some slacks. This would allow him to blend in to get into the upper stands he had heard about. There was sure to be a bunch of idiots loaded with caps up there. In the morning, there seemed to be a crazed man pulling a gun on his own brother. The whole town was distracted by this, leaving the perfect opportunity for Ricky to go up to the rich part of town. All of the houses up there were locked tight, and Ricky couldn't pick the locks in the doors. Heading to the bar, he saw an argument taking place between a man named Paul and the bartender Cook.
Me and my wife. Why don't you mind your own damn business for once?
Oh, God, Paul, why do you always have to make a scene?
You keep away from my wife, goddammit.
You'd better get out of here before you do something stupid.
You son of a bitch.
Look at Randy Orton slithering. Watch out!
Ricky intuited that there may be more going on here, so he went and talked to the bartender.
Sorry I had to see that. Things are usually a lot quieter around here. Perfect place to drink, if you're buying.
What was that argument about?
Nothing much. You see, Darcy here likes to relax and enjoy life from time to time, and her husband Paul doesn't.
After this, Ricky went to find Paul to see what was up with him.
You were in the tap house before, and...
You got your ass kicked by your wife's lover.
Yeah. Pretty pathetic, right? Guy's sleeping with my wife, and I can't even do anything about it.
So where do I come in?
I'm going to go back and talk to him, and I want you to come with me. You saw? He won't take me seriously otherwise. I don't want to have to really hurt him, I just want him to leave Darcy alone.
You're going to have to make it worth my while.
Well, okay. I can only pay you 80 caps right now, but I'll scrape together more after we take care of Cook.
Let's get this over with.
Okay. Come on.
Ricky and Paul entered the tap house to confront Cook, but Ricky took the chance to betray Paul, since he was obviously the weaker one.
What now?
It's time for you to shut up and listen, Cook.
What the hell is this? And what are you doing here? Don't tell me he's hired you to help lean on me.
I'm not with him. Just looking for a drink.
What? Well, thanks for nothing. Should have known better than to trust you.
Good answer. Well, I'm listening, Paul. What do you have to say this time?
Just this. You leave Darcy alone, starting now, or else.
Now that is a very bad idea. You don't want to pull a gun on me unless you intend to use it.
Do you think I won't use it? Huh, do I just need to kill you? Is that what you're saying?
Think about what you're doing. Damn fool.
Paul missed most of his shots, but managed to hit Cook in the arm. However, shotgun beats pistol, and Paul is now dead.
Oh, what a mess. Too bad you got yourself mixed up in all of this. Paul, he used to be one of my best pals. Oh, hell. Look, I've been thinking about making a break for a while now, and, well, time to take action. pastime. So I have an idea. Maybe we can help each other, put this all behind us, you know?
You've got my attention. Let's hear this idea.
Here's the deal. I have some other, businesses on the side. One of them is helping Nelson Latimer spend his dad's money to make himself feel like a gangster.
I like the part about the money.
Me and Nelson are supposed to be meeting some gentleman from Goodneighbor to exchange Nelson's cash for their chems. My plan is simple. We take the money and the chems.
I'm in. Let's do this.
Now you're talking. I promise, you won't regret it. In a few hours, we're both going to be sitting pretty.
The plan was set, a way for Ricky to get his hands on a lot of money and chems. Following Cook out of the city, Ricky changed back into his armor to prepare for the ambush. Along the way, Cook started talking about the deal before deciding to attack some super mutants. Ricky fought them off, but Cook died in the process. Oh well, more chems for me, I guess. He made his way to where the deal was going down, and they all fell for the classic throw a Molotov cocktail at their feet trick. As he was cleaning up, the leader Trish spoke up.
You don't have to kill me. I won't talk. I swear.
Nothing personal, but I can't leave any witnesses.
Wait! I can tell you how to find Marowski's chem lab! You can get his whole stash!
Keep talking.
Where do you think these chems come from? We've got a lab. Right here in the Commonwealth. But you'll never find it on your own. Not without my help.
Tell me what you know first.
Well, okay. I'm trusting you, right? The lab is in the old Forley fish packing plant, on the waterfront in South Boston.
Let's hear about all the security.
There's a terminal that will bypass the tripwires and open the door to the lab. So, I have your promise, right? If I give you the password, you'll let me walk?
I'll definitely kill you if you don't tell me.
You bastard. I guess I gotta trust you. The password is Applejack. There, now you've got everything, and I'm completely screwed forever. I hope you can live with it.
And just like that, Ricky found himself with a load of caps, chems, and a tip on how to get into the biggest chem lab in the whole Commonwealth. Even without selling the chems, Ricky had amassed almost 2,000 caps at this point. Ricky could see his master plan coming together. With all of this, he could buy some gear that would allow him to take on the raiders in Lexington, and get started on making his own chem lab for long-term profits. Let's get one thing straight. Chems are awesome. Buff out makes you strong, you can carry more, hit people harder, and take more punches at the same time. Mentats makes you smarter and more aware of your surroundings. Med-X makes the pain go away. Psycho turns into a berserker maniac, and Jet makes you move so fast it seems like everyone else is way slower. So it's no surprise chems are in high demand among wastelanders, who are willing to shell out hundreds of caps to get their fix. There's a business opportunity here, but it requires someone with the strength, knowledge, and drive to get it done. This is Ricky. He's a raider, and he just found his way into a secret chem lab owned by the biggest chem kingpin in the Commonwealth, a guy by the name of Marowski. He'll become important later. Showtime, fellas. By taking out this operation, Ricky is not only eliminating the competition, but also gaining access to the equipment necessary to start cooking chems. You see, chems sell for a decent price on their own, but by combining chems together, you can create stronger, more powerful versions, which means they're worth more money. But all these chems Ricky has now were nabbed from a heist in the last episode, and they won't last forever. He's gonna need to find a way to make his own chems, but most require rare ingredients, and Ricky doesn't want to spend all his time gathering out in the wasteland. But thankfully, there is one chem that is surprisingly cheap to make, if you know what you're doing. You see, Jet only requires plastic, which is incredibly common and cheap, and fertilizer, which is a bit rare, but it can be acquired in a reliable way. But before he could start on that, Ricky made his way back to Diamond City to start selling chems. Along the way, he found a couple who seemed to have switched outfits for the day. Or maybe that's how they always dress, I don't know, I mean, hey, that's fine, you know. Ricky may be a raider, but he's not gonna judge people for what they choose to wear. Anyway, he made it back to Diamond City, where he sold some chems, but also bought shipments of plastic and fertilizer, which, if you've been keeping up, are the base ingredients needed to make Jet. A shipment of plastic costs about 140 caps with Ricky's stats, and a shipment of fertilizer costs about 230 caps. But one Jet requires 1 plastic and 2 fertilizer, So that means by buying shipments, you can make 12.5 doses of jet, which sell for 26 caps each, for a total of 235 caps. But that barely covers the price of the fertilizer. This means that Ricky will have to find a more profitable way of acquiring fertilizer in the long term. Sorry to bore you with all that math, but as Ricky was leaving, he was stopped by Darcy, the wife of Paul, who Ricky let die in the previous episode.
Excuse me, can I talk to you a minute?
I guess so.
Do you remember me? You were in the tap house that time Paul made such a fool of himself trying to fight Henry. Now he's missing. Paul, I mean, it's not like him, and I'm worried something's happened to him.
Have you asked Cook about it?
Well, that's the thing. Henry's missing too. Which is what makes me really worried about Paul.
Oh, right. Cook also died, which actually had nothing to do with Ricky, believe me or not.
Oh, he was so upset. I thought maybe you might know something.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay, sorry to bother you.
It seemed Ricky's previous actions may come back to bite him, but I'm sure nobody else will.
You there. We need to talk.
Is there a problem?
The problem is that I've learned that you killed my son Nelson. Is this true?
I didn't kill Nelson. Whoever told you that was lying.
You are an easy target for anyone trying to shift blame off themselves. If it wasn't you, then who was it? Do you know who killed Nelson?
I heard it was Marowski. Nelson was buying chems from him.
I know he was. Now it makes sense why Marowski would try to put the blame on you. That bastard needs to pay. And you can't be too happy about him pinning this on you, right? I'll pay you 400 caps to take care of him. Both of you. What do you say?
Throw in another 200 caps, and I'll take care of Marowski for you.
600 caps. You have an awfully high opinion of yourself.
This worked out extremely well. Ricky successfully deflected the blame for something he did onto his main rival. He was already planning to take out Marowski, but now he could get paid for it too. Marowski is based out of Goodneighbor, the other major city in the Commonwealth, which is somewhere Ricky was going to end up eventually, so he made his way to the shady side of Boston, or, well, more shady than Diamond City already is. You immediately get an impression of what kind of town this is, because as soon as you walk through the front door, this guy tries to mug you.
Hey, hold up there. First time in Goodneighbor? You can't go walking around without insurance.
You better back off, or you're the one that's gonna need insurance.
Well, hey, all right. We'll just say your insurance is paid up for now, okay?
You lay off that extortion crap.
What do you care? He ain't one of us. You keep letting outsiders walk all over us. One day, there'll be a new man.
Come on, man. This is me we're talking about. Now, why'd you have to go and say that, huh? Breaking my heart over here. Now I know you had old Finn handled back there, but a mayor's gotta make a point sometimes. You alright?
I'm fine.
Good. Now don't let this incident taint your view of our little community. Good neighbors of the people, for the people. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you.
Good. You stay cool, and you'll be part of the neighborhood.
After feeling Hancock, sorry, that sounds dirty. Anyway, after this he went to the gun shop to meet, well, I'll just show you.
Well, hello. Everything here is guaranteed to injure, maim, or kill at your discretion. Except me. I only kill when I want to.
Who, what are you?
I'm a woman, baby. Can't you tell?
Oh, of course you are. It's just all those metal plates. You're a robot, right? A very womanly robot.
Designation, Assaultron. Designed to provide a variety of security-related tasks to the modern man. Robot enough for you, smooth talker? Now what are you buying?
So what kind of weapons do you have?
Anything that can kill a man, I sell. Except suicidal depression. That is unfortunately not packageable.
Ricky couldn't help but marvel at Cleo's guns. He really wanted to know what they felt like to hold, so he snuck around behind her and grabbed the Fat Man launcher and mini nuke. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. Anyway, since Ricky was making so much money selling those chems he grabbed, he was able to afford some gear he probably shouldn't have at this level. Legendary combat armor pieces. After this, he walked down the way to Hotel Rexford, where Marowski had an office in the back. The trouble is, there's no easy way to take him out while he's in his office without the whole town showing up. While Ricky wouldn't mind getting grabbed by Cleo, he recognized that's not the best plan. He'd have to look for a better opportunity or find a silenced weapon to use. On the way out, it seemed the Mayor Hancock was giving a speech. Ricky found a comfortable place to watch the speech before heading to the bar. Inside was a charming singer and a funny British robot.
Boy,
Who's the singer?
That is Magnolia, flower of the third rail.
Ricky bought one beer and then got an interesting offer.
Now that you're liquored up, got a proposition for you. I need a dirty boy to do some dirty, dirty work. Blood on the pavement, bodies in the ground, that kind of thing. Interested?
I might be.
I got a certain anonymous client who's paying top dollar for a clean-up job. 3 locations. Everyone inside. No witnesses. The job's 200 caps. Payment after it's done. Don't worry. I'll know when it is.
3 locations. That's a lot of time. A lot of bullets.
Oh, I guess we can sweeten the pot a bit. 250.
Too low. Barely covers the risks.
All right, Gov. 300.
I'll get it done.
You better. Now go out there and bust some heads.
Ricky had another job on his hands, but first he made sure to finish listening to the singer, Magnolia. He even went up and talked to her. Excuse me, miss.
What's the matter, handsome? Don't tell me you didn't like the song.
I never heard that song before. Who wrote it?
I did. Everything I sing is an original. Now, there's something special about you, isn't there? Don't tell me. Let me guess. I think I know a fella before when I see one. You're good with your words. Know just the right thing to say at the right time. So what brings a man like you to my part of town?
I came here for the music.
Flatterer. I think you and I are gonna get along. So it's my turn to answer questions, right? What can I do?
I was wondering if we could get to know each other better.
Oh, really? Go on.
You, me, an evening walk under the streetlights.
And then what?
Music.
I knew you were something special, right? Let me get my coat. I haven't been out on the town in too long. Thank you.
And now Ricky can say he's banged Wonder Woman. Okay, time to get back on track. 3 warehouses, but I'll spare you the details. Ricky broke in, sprayed some bullets, and grabbed whatever wasn't bolted down. Ricky seemed to be taking a liking to the submachine guns these gangsters use, and by taking them out, he was able to get a surplus of ammo. Anyway, one by one they fell, and Ricky went back to report his success to Charlie.
Some exterminator cleaned out the rats in the old warehouses. Know anything about that, would you?
I might. Depends on what you have for me.
Here you are. Every single cap, as agreed.
Ricky's trip to Goodneighbor didn't accomplish the one thing he went there for, but it was overall a good use of time. He gained caps, intel, gear, and at least one lover. But it was time to get back on track. Ricky was going to need some place to produce fertilizer. And what produces fertilizer on a regular basis? Brahmin. That's right, in case you hadn't figured it out, Jet is essentially just sniffing 2-headed cow manure. Nearby to his home base was a farm that already had a Brahmin. Ricky considered just wiping out these helpless settlers, but he realized he didn't want to do all the work of farming and cleaning cow crap, so he took a more diplomatic approach, tricking the settlers into working for him by retrieving a family heirloom. You gotta be careful. Never know who you can trust these days. The farmers wanted a locket that some nearby raiders had taken from them. Pretty standard stuff here. Enter the dungeon, fight some raiders, take out the leader, and grab the minigun she was using. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. After taking out the raiders, Ricky went back to the farm, and the family was so overjoyed, they offered Ricky to use their workshop. Ricky can now use this farm to start building a fertilizer production facility. As I explained earlier, you need Brahmin to make fertilizer, and Brahmin can show up at your settlement randomly. But if you want a more reliable source, you can build a giant cage to trap wild Brahmin, but this requires some razor grain to build, and more every time you want to reset the trap. The farmers were already producing potatoes and melons, but those won't help much, so Ricky set them to work farming razor grain. But that takes a while, so in the meantime, Ricky set out to accomplish a goal he had set previously, clearing out the raider gang in Lexington. Ricky now had the equipment necessary, and a plan to take out this raider gang, eliminating the risk of them finding out about his chem operation. First, he climbed up the steps to a nearby building, and atop of this was a raider wearing a salvaged suit of power armor. Ricky cleverly shot out the fusion core, which forced the raider inside to exit, and he could then finish them off. It's a surprise tool that will help us right now. Ricky had scavenged a few fusion cores earlier, so he could take this suit for himself. It was missing the arm and leg armor pieces, but it would still allow Ricky to plow through the gang with ease. There was yet one more wrinkle with the plan. Ricky would have to take out another raider in power armor, this one armored with a portable mini-nuke launcher. Ricky had procured one of his own earlier, but he didn't want to blow himself up by using it in this tight space. The other guy wasn't so smart and nearly blew up the whole skywalk, but Ricky managed to finish him off and get another power armor piece. Despite the fact that he was well armored, Ricky still opted to take the inconspicuous entrance to catch the raiders by surprise, rather than barge in through the front door. It seemed some ghouls had come in this way, and there was a turret guarding the entrance. After clearing the room, he found a terminal that talked about Jared, who must be the leader of these raiders. Ricky would need to take him out to eliminate the threat here. From here on out, all Ricky had to do was shoot his way through the place, and that's exactly what he did. When it was all said and done, Ricky had cleared and looted the building. This would be a warning to all nearby gangs not to mess with Ricky's territory. His chem operation was safe, for now. He went back to the farm to check on the progress of the razor grain, but it turns out it takes a long time for crops to grow. He took a stroll back home and made a safe to store the chems he would sell later. He also modified his submachine gun with a suppressed barrel, which meant that there was now some business he could finish in Goodneighbor. Heading back to Hotel Rexford, it seemed Ricky had arrived at a good time, because Marowski was peacefully sleeping in his room, unguarded. Marowski took a surprising amount of bullets, but despite that, Ricky was able to remain undetected. He had now taken out his main rival in the chem business, leaving a power vacuum in the Commonwealth that he could fill. He walked out of the hotel unharmed and made his way back to Diamond City. He talked to Malcolm and got a 600 cap reward.
I hope you didn't make it too easy for him. Here's what I owe you.
Even Ricky was surprised how well this whole situation worked out. Back at the farm, the razor grain was finally grown enough so Ricky could set up the Brahmin trap, but a bunch of super mutants attacked. After dealing with them, he realized he would need to wait for the Brahmin to show up. So to kill time, he headed back to the fish packing plant where the chem lab was hidden, to see if he missed anything. After clearing through the ghouls, Ricky found a magazine that made buying and selling prices better. I don't think I need to explain why this is an important find. Again, Ricky made his way back to the farm. His feet are actually pretty tired from all this walking, to see if there was anything in the cage. Opening it, he found a Brahmin waiting inside. Ricky had just effectively doubled his production of fertilizer, from 1 unit per day to 2 units per day, and this would keep increasing the more Brahmin he got. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. From here on out, Ricky would have a stable supply of caps to buy anything he needed. His chem empire was established, but he still needed someone to share this empire with, and if he wanted to take over the Commonwealth, he would need an army. His search led him to the heart of downtown Boston, in the old theater district. There's a place called the Combat Zone, which is a bar for raiders only. Now, you and I know that Ricky is a raider, but apparently this gang didn't, because they immediately started shooting when he approached. After clearing the welcome party, Ricky went inside to see that this old theater had been made into a fight club, but since all the raiders inside aren't any more friendly than those on the outside, Ricky had to take them all out. After this, he went to speak with the only 2 people who didn't shoot at him. This is where Ricky met Cait.
Is it over? Well, that could have gone worse.
I don't know. Seemed quite the performance from where I was standing.
Are you fucking hot? You caught the end of that bout. What'd you think of Cait's work?
She's clearly talented.
See? At least someone knows skill when they see it.
It ain't your fighting skills I'm concerned with. So here's my predicament. I suddenly got no audience. No audience means I got no caps coming in. What say I let you take over her contract? She goes with you, watches your back. Look, you'd be doing me a favor while I try and get the place back in line. What do you say?
Me? And him?
Sure, I could use someone watching my back.
Good. It's settled.
Ricky gained the first of soon-to-be many followers. His next would come very soon, as he stumbled upon a distress signal.
Mayday, or whatever it is one says on a ring. My name is Rex Goodman.
Now, Ricky isn't exactly the hero type, but there's usually a reward involved with these sorts of things, so he made his way to Trinity Tower. This would also be a great opportunity for him to see Cait in action, since she appears to be a skilled fighter. But to his surprise, as soon as they got inside, Cait just decided to lie down on the floor for some reason. Fighting the super mutants, essentially by himself, was no easy task, but as you should know by now, there's no problem that can't be solved with a bit of chems. At the top stood the strongest of the super mutants, a green ugly named Fist. While he may be strong, he wasn't smart enough to avoid stepping on 3 landmines. Anyway, there was a cage with the man who called for help inside, as well as another super mutant. Turns out this one named Strong is the closest thing a super mutant can be to being considered friendly. The super mutant too?
Yes, him too. He's harmless. Well, actually, he's far from harmless, but won't hurt us. Trust me.
Strong will not hurt human if human rescue Strong and Rex.
Strong wouldn't stop rambling about the milk of human kindness, whatever that means. Anyway, against his better judgment, he unlocked the cage and made his escape, fighting through more mutants before reaching the bottom once again. There, Rex was thankful for the rescue.
Many thanks for that timely rescue.
I think I've earned the reward.
In any event, I'm quite grateful. I'd like you to have this.
The reward in question was a suit that increased Ricky's Riz by 3, and it didn't look half bad either. But to his surprise, the super mutant Strong wanted to join Ricky.
Human help Strong find milk of human kindness.
Ricky didn't really want to travel around with the super mutant, but he recognized that having a big scary bodyguard would be useful, so Strong joined the party. After this, Ricky went to the third rail, not to see Magnolia, but to see a mercenary for hire, named McCready.
I'll tell you what, price is 250 caps, up front. There's no room for bargaining. What do you say?
Everything's negotiable. Would you take 200?
You drive a hard bargain. You just bought yourself an extra gun. All right, boss. Let's get out of here.
At this point, you're probably wondering why Ricky is collecting followers like a suburban mom collecting 50% off coupons, so I'll clue you in. Ricky has plans to go to Nuka-World. You see, Ricky had heard stories about how Nuka-World is some raider paradise in an old amusement park way out west. His plan was to travel there and try and join up with these raiders. Maybe work with them to expand his chem business. He wasn't really sure what to expect, so he planned for the worst, which means he would need some help and something to offer these raiders. Along the way, he stopped by Vault 81, which he had learned from some local traders to be a still operating vault, functioning as a trade post.
For newcomers, we like to operate on exchange. You help us, we help you.
But I'm a fellow vault dweller. Can't you just let me in?
Excuse me, man. Before you arrived, he did say he was from a vault. And he's in possession of a working Pip-Boy.
Is that so?
After lying his way in, he immediately stole their bags of fertilizer to make, you guessed it, more jet. Exploring deeper into the vault, he met Tina, who seemed to be wearing a fake tan. I guess vault dwellers don't get much sunlight. Anyway, she asked this of Ricky.
Hey, outsider, do me a favor. If my good-for-nothing brother asks you for jet, tell him to buzz off.
Ricky immediately started selling jet to him because Bobby gives a whopping 75 caps per dose of jet. This is way more than any vendor will buy for it, the only caveat being that only 1 dose can be sold at a time. In short, Ricky will be selling a lot of jet to this guy in the future. I don't know how to transition this, but Ricky found a terminal belonging to one Bobby No-Nos, who had a plan to dig tunnels into some big storeroom. So Ricky offered to help Bobby to get a share of the loot. To make a long story short, Ricky broke a guy out of prison, used his robot to clear some tunnels, and then killed Bobby when he found out she lied to him. In the end, he got a cool minigun to give to Strong, and got Hancock as a follower. Trust me, it's really just a long story and not terribly interesting. But at this point, Ricky felt confident enough to travel to Nuka-World. He made his way to the Nuka-World transport station, which seemed to be under gunner occupation, and they aren't exactly welcoming to outsiders stepping into their territory. They had an Assaultron backing them up, but Ricky had recently learned how to hack robots, making quick work of this bot baddie. As a side note, Cait bugged out and wouldn't help during combat encounters like the other companions, so all she would end up doing is just stand around and judge me. Typical women, am I right? I need to stop making misogynistic jokes or people are going to start thinking I'm actually misogynistic. Inside the station, there was a man asking for help, but there was something off about him. He said that there were indeed raiders in Nuka-World, and that they were holding his family hostage, and he barely escaped. But something about his story didn't add up, so Ricky took the safe route and just shot first.
Well, that wasn't very nice. Killing an innocent man. You're one ruthless son of a bitch, aren't you? The
To his surprise, there was somebody listening in on the other end, presumably one of the raiders. This was exactly what Ricky was looking for, an opportunity to prove himself to these raiders. There was a pop-up saying that Nuka-World is only recommended for level 30 plus characters, and Ricky's only level 16, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Turns out the voice he heard belongs to a raider named Porter Gage, who informs Ricky that he is currently walking into a death trap. There's an easy way to skip this whole thing by just phasing your hand through a door and escaping, but that's boring, so, Ricky's gonna go through the gauntlet, alright? The first room was filled with turrets, but thankfully, Ricky brought plenty of meat shields, companions along with him. Next up was a room of tripwires and explosives, but Ricky took his time and made his way through. A room filled with radioactive waste would normally be a challenge, but luckily Ricky packed a hazmat suit to make it through without leaving looking like Hancock. He kept going through a tunnel filled with landmines that he made sure to disarm, but apparently his companions weren't as smart and they blew themselves up. After another close call that may or may not have been his fault, Ricky was trapped in a room filled with gas. Essentially just turn all the valves, nearly blow up again, and then escape to the next challenge. Sprinting through the last section, Ricky made it to the final arena, where he was berated by a funny-sounding man who appears to be the head honcho of the raiders here.
Got me wired up yet, Gage?
Yeah, boss.
Finally. Now go shut off that damn alarm.
Alright, I'm on it.
Now where? There's my next victim now. Don't look like much. Here's a quick rundown how this works. You go stock up, make yourself presentable. Then we're gonna give these folks a show. A show where I decorate these walls here with your lovely brains. Thanks to this suit, I'm the only one that wins this fight. Period.
Once again, the intercom voice of Gage spoke to Ricky, giving him a rundown of what to do.
But this fight coming up is rigged. You get me? Overboss Coulter. His power armor's set up to draw energy from the electric grid in the arena. Damn things.
So he's a cheating coward. Gotcha.
Doesn't have a fair bone in his body. You want to win? I stashed a weapon in the lockers. Get it.
Apparently, Gage was referring to a children's toy when he said weapon. Is this a squirt gun?
Yeah, I know what it looks like. You're just going to have to trust me. Once the water hits Coulter's electrically charged power armor, the circuits are gonna short out.
For whatever reason, Strong decided now would be the best time for a heart-to-heart.
Respect. Human would be good, super mutant.
You're an idiot. All super mutants are idiots. I would never want to be one.
Not idiots. Super mutants, good fighters. Strong, great warrior.
Getting back on track, Ricky prepared for the fight. Coulter was getting the crowd ready, and Ricky got his water gun ready. By defeating the old Overboss, this makes Ricky the new Overboss. But while that may seem easy, Ricky would still need to prove himself to these raiders. Death by squirt gun. I'd love to see the message on his tombstone. Stepping outside, Ricky got his first good look at Nuka-World, a place built in honor of a soft drink from a bygone era. Nearby was the market where all the traders are fitted with bomb collars around their necks because they're salespeople. Yeah, salespeople. Anyway, one of them sells a weapon called the splatter cannon, which does more damage with each hit. It's really good. It's a really good weapon. And Ricky could afford to buy with caps, but there's an alternative way of getting this weapon. You'll see later. Walking through the streets of Nuka Town, USA, Ricky met a chatty character named Sierra Petrovita. She was an NPC with an annoying side quest in Fallout 3, and she's no different in this game.
And the winner of the contest would get to meet the famous John Caleb Bradburton himself.
But she gave Ricky these neat glasses, so that's cool, I guess. Anyway, the next 10 minutes or so were spent listening to Gage monologue about how Coulter was a bad boss anyway, and how he needs Ricky to be a leader for these gangs. Speaking of which, I should probably give you the rundown on each of the gangs at Nuka-World. There are 3 in total, and Ricky will have to try and appease each of them for them to respect him as the new Overboss. The first gang is the Disciples, a group of sadists who love to cut and stab, and are mostly women for some reason. It's literally a gang of goth girls. What's not to love? But Ricky's first order of business would be to speak with their leader.
But whatever. Let's get this meet and greet over with. I'm Nisha. I lead the Disciples. We've only got one rule around here, and that's keeping the peace of this alliance. Otherwise, the way we see it, this world stopped caring about rules the moment people started dropping bombs on one another.
Rules just hold us back. We should be free to do whatever we want.
That's what I was trying to tell Coulter all along. Maybe if you listened, it's too loud. So you better not screw this up, because I'm not about to tolerate another round of bull.
Depends on what you're looking for.
Fuck this up, and I will kill you.
I just died of your arms tonight.
Anyway, side note, you can find a Star Wars reference in this room. There's a little thing up here that looks like Han Solo and Carbonite, but it's really small for some reason. The next gang Ricky met was the Operators, a gang all about caps and vanity. They wear cool outfits, and I'll just say it now, they're the best out of the 3 gangs.
I suppose we all owe you for putting down Coulter.
Man was an idiot. Made us all look bad.
I'm Mags. This is my brother, William.
Pleasure.
Along with our co-conspirator, Lizzie, we run this crew. Call ourselves the Operators. This place was built for the sole purpose of taking caps out of the pockets of fools. We'd like some assurances that you intend to bring this place back to its true purpose.
My goal is to use this place to make all the money I can.
I look forward to seeing your claims put into action.
You see, the Operators just get it. Being a raider is all about caps, and they are actually somewhat nice to be around, unlike the next gang, the Pack. I don't know how to describe to you how terrible this raider gang is. They're a bunch of furries to start. They all wear animal masks and probably smell like animals too. In their base, they just have constant dog fights, so you have to hear that every time you go in there, and usually these guys are just downright mean, alright? Plus, their leader is the type of guy to unironically call himself an alpha male.
Now that I get a closer look at it, I'm not sure I'm proud of this new Overboss thing. Name's Mason, the Pack's Alpha. This here's our side of town. You might be Overboss, for now, but I'm the boss of the Pack, and it will stay that way.
I'm not here to make us friends. I'm here to make us some caps.
I think we can all respect caps, not each other. Look, let's cut to the chase. You're gonna do right by the public.
Be a good dog and do what you're told, or you'll be put down.
Ooh, there's a boss. Nothing from no guys, all right? You know what? I think we're not so different, me and you. I want you to have this. Consider it a token of our mutual understanding and respect.
He gives the Problem Solver, which has the same legendary effect as the Splatter Cannon, but you can get this basically for free. Ricky went to have yet another conversation, this time with Gage, and I'll just summarize. Nuka-World has 6 parks. Nuka-World USA, which is where the Raiders are now, the Galactic Zone, Rock Gulch, Safari Adventure, the World of Refreshment, and Kitty Kingdom. Ricky would have to do the work of clearing out each park, and then decide which gang gets to control it. Essentially, Ricky's doing all the heavy lifting, but hey, at least Gage offered to help by joining the party. Ricky got a lot done in a short period of time. His trip to Nuka-World far surpassed his expectations, making him the leader of 3 gangs at once. But his next step was clear. Conquer Nuka-World, then the Commonwealth. But before Ricky could start on his quest, Cait spoke up about something important to her.
We're friends now, which means I can trust you with anything. I'm sick. And I don't think I can hide it from you anymore. I've been using Psycho.
Can your Psycho addiction be cured?
Normally a wasteland doc could handle it, but I've been using the stuff so damn long they can't help me anymore.
Now, Cait says that the only way she can cure her addiction is by going to an old vault filled with dangerous gunners. As if there isn't a medical item in the game called Addictol that says, quote, cures all addictions. I don't know what part of cures all addictions you don't understand, Cait, but until she figures it out, Ricky decided to just give her a bunch of the stuff and told her to hit the road.
Okay.
With that situation handled, Ricky and the boys can get back to business. The first stop on the grand tour was Kitty Kingdom, a place built to entertain young children with bright colors, performers, and mist sprayers filled with Nuka-Cola. I honestly don't get what the idea was here. Like, why spray people with your product, right? Do you expect them to just stand there mouth open? More than likely, visitors are just gonna leave with sticky clothing. It just makes more sense to sell it by the bottle. Whatever. If you haven't figured it out already, the park workers have all turned into feral ghouls, and those mist sprayers now spit out radioactive wastewater. This park sucks, and there's a guy over the loudspeaker taunting you, on top of the fact that you have to deal with radiation and ghouls. And seriously, what is this paint made of? These rotting corpses take so many bullets to go down, it's ridiculous. Like this one ghoul lost most of his limbs and half of his head, and he was still wiggling around. Anyway, this place has a fun house, which is not fun, and also not really a house. Look, I'm being really negative because I don't like this park. That's what we're getting out of the way first. Going into a tunnel, Ricky found the man behind the voice talking to one of the feral ghouls about some sort of cure before disappearing into a puff of smoke. Later, this glowing ghoul named Oswald the Outrageous appeared once more to monologue about how he was given a gift of real magic. Sorry to break it to you, man, but this thing you do where you resurrect the other ghouls is a thing all glowing ones do. You're not special. So Oswald attacked, but thankfully, Hancock suplexed him. The maniac magician then disappeared again. Side note, while checking the wiki, I found out that Oswald's actual last name is Oppenheimer. I'm not kidding. This guy is named Oswald Oppenheimer. Up on the roof, Oswald appeared once more.
You raiders are all the same. I'm not going to let you kill any more of my friends.
You realize your friends are feral ghouls, right?
They're not feral. They're sick.
Midway through this chat, Ricky realized he was slowly dying of radiation poisoning, so after healing up, he just asked Oswald to leave. There's no point in arguing anymore. Just leave.
Perhaps I would leave, but I made a promise to keep this place safe until my ritual finds the cure. My beloved left this place years ago to find a cure for this disease.
I promise you, there is no cure. You'd be better off trying to find us so you can be together.
You're wrong. There is a cure. There has to be. But maybe she needs my help.
He gives a sword that's kinda cool, but his magic top hat is what we really want, as it increases movement speed by 10%. Add that to the leg pieces Ricky bought earlier with the same effect, and it means he can move really fast. Anyway, Ricky raised the flag of the Disciples, signaling that he had claimed the park for them. Since they seem to be the stab you while you sleep type, Ricky decided it would be best to get on their good side as soon as possible. Upon returning to the park later, Ricky saw how the Disciples had set up shop already, and they left some goodies for him as a thank you. So that's one park down, only 4 more to go. I don't really know how else to interject this, but back at base, Hancock said Goon Squad in one of his dialogues, and that is now the new name for Ricky's entourage, the Goon Squad. Next up is the World of Refreshment, a ride that once took guests down a river of Nuka-Cola Quantum. However, Mirelurks have taken up residency in the time since the bombs, and have turned a glowing blue from exposure to the drink. Makes you question what will happen if you drink it, but I'm sure it's fine. The Nuka-Cola Corporation would never do anything bad, right? Anyway, this place is boring and the Mirelurks are stupidly strong. Also, at one point there were like 3 or 4 Assaultrons, but thankfully Ricky's goons dismantled them before Ricky could try to ask any of them out. After clearing the interior of the bottling plant, Ricky and the squad went outside to be greeted by more Nuka-Lurks and the Nuka-Lurk Queen. Quite possibly one of the strongest enemies in the entire game, with so much health, damage resistance, deadly attacks, and it's down. Oh. Yeah, the problem solver solves problems. After dealing with the rest of the cola crustaceans, Ricky climbed to the top of the plant and raised the flag of the operators, giving them their first park. So that's the bottling plant taken care of, and I like to go on a bit of a tangent here. This place seems like a huge missed opportunity to me, because this is a factory where they bottle Nuka-Cola. Shouldn't this place be full of caps? Or have a machine that produces caps? When you first meet the raiders, they say they took Nuka-World because it was supposed to be some paradise for making caps, and I thought this meant there would be a huge cap stash hidden somewhere in the park, but no. Maybe Bethesda planned to have something like that, or they just never thought about it? I don't know. Anyway, check out this cool power armor you can get when you go back inside the plant. It's kind of funny, like, imagine going to Disney World and seeing a fully operational military tank with a Mickey Mouse logo painted on the side just there on display for visitors to see. Okay, intermission time. Ricky took a trip back to the Commonwealth to sell Jet, but as he was heading back, he saw a strange object fly across the sky and crash somewhere in the distance. Following it to an old forest, he found what was left of a crashed metal object of unknown origin. Ricky had never seen anything like it before. Could this be some sort of spaceship? There was a trail of some strange substance leading away from the crash site, leading to a nearby cave. Inside there was something moving. Something green. As Ricky approached, it attacked, though Ricky and his companions struck back. Upon closer inspection, it seemed almost certain that this was an alien invader, wielding a powerful energy weapon. So, yeah, aliens are real. Or they were. This one's dead now. Listen, all of you. We tell no one what we saw today. Back to Nuka-World, and the next park on the list is Safari Adventure. As soon as Ricky and the gang approached, they were attacked by a gator claw, which is a death club but an alligator, I think? Anyway, after taking it out, a shirtless man with a hammer ran at Ricky, talking like a caveman.
You friend?
You okay? Why are you talking like that?
Cito, sorry, Cito, not talk good. Monsters not stop. Help Cito stop monsters?
Maybe. Do you have any idea where they're coming from?
New friend, follow Cito.
Ricky followed Cito to the primate house and met his family of gorillas, and I was thinking there should be an interaction between Cito and Strong since they both talk the same way. Another missed opportunity, Todd. I guess Bethesda just ripped off Tarzan for the story of this park because it's literally about a kid raised by gorillas. Or am I thinking Jungle Book? I don't know. Anyway, you run around this old zoo and fight mutated gators until you find a key that leads into the big building where you find out some old scientist guy set up a cloning machine to keep making gator claws. Wait, why would an amusement park have a cloning machine? Anyway, Ricky took some Psycho Jet and then got addicted to Psycho while taking out the gators, and all of his companions judged him for it. Thankfully, he had some Addictol, which, I may remind you, cures all addictions. Looking at you, Cait. Ricky then made sure the gator claws went extinct, became friends with the Gorilla Man, and assigned the park to the pack because, come on, it just makes sense to give the zoo to the furries. And that's Park 3, folks. I don't have much else to add other than look at Gage T-posing, isn't that funny? Now on to Dry Rock Gulch, which is like an Old West style town, but there's a bunch of fun-sized dune sandworms all over the place. There's a bunch of cute protectrons with cowboy hats that want you to play along and act like a cowboy, but Ricky just doesn't have the time, so he uses his robotic knowledge to just skip past their mini quests. Also, he gave Gage a cowboy outfit because it just made sense to do so. This park is just really easy to clear. The Bloodworms barely put up a fight, and there isn't much ground to cover, so yeah, Ricky assigned the park to the operators and moved on. But lastly, it's time to take the final park, the Galactic Zone. This park is actually cool because it has this futuristic aesthetic, and these cool robots. They all attack, but Ricky goes around and manually shuts them all down to avoid destroying them. You see, the Galactic Zone has a big computer in the middle that controls all the robots, and right now it's in a security lockdown because all the star cores are missing. Ricky needs to find enough to end the lockdown and make all the robots friendly again. You don't actually need to find all the cores to end the lockdown, but you do if you want to unlock the glass case containing the best power armor in the game, the Quantum Exo-1 power armor. Now, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent again because I've already talked about how I find the Nuka-Cola T-51 a bit strange, but the general public was already familiar with that armor before the war. Exo-1 was a top secret military prototype. Why would the military ever want to put that on display? Sure, Quantum only came out the day the bombs dropped, so I assume this power armor came out like around the same time, but were they not worried about Chinese spies visiting the park and seeing this military prototype on display? Whatever, sorry. This has just bugged me since the DLC came out, and whatever. I mean, I will say, though, it is a cool armor, and I like the design of it. So while I was ranting about that lore problem, Ricky was busy shutting down robots across the park in places like the Starlight Theater, which has a sentry bot for a bartender. Wait, why was a military robot serving drinks? Whatever, I already know the answer. As Ricky made his way through the park, he came to the Robco Battle Zone, which has two Novatrons guarding the outside, who apparently have the power to make the game crash. But after getting past them, he went outside to find that this attraction was once an arena, where visitors could watch robots fight. But upon stepping inside the arena, Ricky was locked inside and forced to fight the robots himself. And by fight, I of course mean shut them down and then force them to self-destruct. But after a bit more scavenging, Ricky found enough cores to end the lockdown, which meant he could now go around and turn all the robots back on without them attacking him. He assigned the park to the Disciples, and with that, all of the parks were cleared, and Nuka-World had been conquered. Ricky talked to Gage to celebrate the success, and he said that they should now set their sights on the Commonwealth. Ricky liked this idea, but for some reason this dialogue with Gage causes reality to collapse and makes the game crash. But I'm no stranger to fault for crashing, so I figured it out. So it's finally time to take over the Commonwealth, settlement by settlement. And compared to taking the parks from high-level enemies, taking land from poor villagers will be easy. Ricky went to talk with Shank, the guy who manages all the comings and goings in Nuka-World, and asked Ricky if he was ready to get started. Ricky said yes. Hancock hated this, and if he was going to have that reaction to just saying what he was about to do, Ricky figured it would probably be best to just let him go. He will be missed, but he's probably needed back at Goodneighbor by now anyway. I mean, he is the mayor after all. But Shank and Ricky coordinated their first operation, taking Nordhagen Beach, a beautiful piece of beachfront property, just asking to be claimed. All along the way, Ricky and the Goon Squad came upon some robot-on-robot violence, and put a stop to it before talking to a robot named Ada, who gave Ricky the plans to make a robot workbench in exchange for helping her take down the Mechanist. Ricky took the plans and Ada as a companion, yet moved her quest to the do later list. There were also some gunners guarding a bridge asking for a 2,000 cap toll. Ricky negotiated the price down to 500 and then just decided to shoot them all anyway. Ricky then came upon a place called Easy City Downs, where raiders bet on robots like horse races. Honestly, I think this is another missed opportunity by Bethesda. You should at least be able to bet on the races instead of just being forced to fight everyone. Upon making it to Nordhagen Beach, Ricky spoke to their leader.
Hey, something I can do for you?
I'm here for your land. You should leave while you can still walk.
Whoa, take it easy, alright? Look, can't just abandon this place, it's home.
You stay here another minute, and trust me, you're gonna regret it.
Christ, no need to do anything rash, alright? The land's yours.
Once the settlers were scared off, Ricky raised a flag to show that this area was now under control of the operators, and he got to work setting up some basic defenses and the necessities to get the outpost running. Arriving back in Nuka-World, Ricky found out that someone was coming through the gauntlet, the same thing he survived before becoming Overboss. To appease the raiders and earn a bit more respect, he made his way to the Kolokars arena to do battle with a fierce opponent. The fighter was someone named Sabat who was using a stealth boy to stay invisible, but as stated before, the problem solver solves problems. But upon returning to his new outpost, Ricky was met with some local raiders who weren't too happy about new gangs moving in on their territory.
One good reason I shouldn't slice you open and eat your heart right here.
You listen closely. This land is ours. So turn around and crawl back onto whatever rock you came from. Right now!
Whoa, easy. Take it easy, alright?
Intimidation wins the day once more, which meant that the way was clear for Ricky to start claiming more settlements. The funny thing about raider settlements is that raiders don't like farming, which makes sense, but the outposts still need food somehow. If only there was a way to get people to do work for you. Ah, of course! Just find a local farm and bully them into giving you all they produce.
What can I do for you?
I'm here to make you an offer. This place will supply me and my friends in Nuka-World caps, food, whatever you got. In exchange, we won't bother you.
Oh, I don't know. A lot of hard work goes into this place. Can't just give it to you.
Listen, you're going to start working for me now. Alright? Just keep the supplies coming, and we won't have any problems.
Fine. If it'll get you off my back. Now please, get the hell out of here.
And that, folks, is how you can get people to work for you. Ricky left the pack in charge of keeping the settlers in line to make sure they keep providing for the gangs. This farm will supply the outposts in the Commonwealth, which means Ricky can get to work claiming more. Along the way, Ricky made a stop at Long Neck Lukowski's Cannery, where a local entrepreneur has set up shop selling canned meat. There's a short quest here where you can investigate why the meat is making people sick, but Ricky's only here to grab a magazine and a bobblehead that both make vendor prices more favorable. After this, he claimed Kingsport Lighthouse, which is full of crazy radiation cultists. Seriously, these guys worship dangerous radiation. How are they not all dying of cancer? Anyway, to make the lighthouse have a light at the top, they locked the glowing one in there, which is a pretty cool idea, honestly. It's a shame you have to kill him to claim the settlement. But after setting up that outpost, Ricky wasted no time in setting up the next, by heading to Outpost Zamanja. Zamonja? How do you say that? I don't know. Anyway, there's a boomer here with a mini nuke launcher, but as long as the first shot is avoided, he's pretty easy to take out. But with a third outpost established, Ricky had secured a foothold in the Commonwealth. Heading back to Nuka-World to celebrate his success and... what's this? The pack members seem to be attacking the other gangs. Have the furries finally gone feral? Ricky spoke with Shank to find out what was going on, and he said the pack had gone rogue, as they were upset with the way Ricky was dishing out territory. In hindsight, maybe giving them only one park and the job of babysitting some farmers while giving the other gangs way more was a bad idea, but, I mean, the pack members are just annoying, and they're mean. So, they had it coming. If they want to act like animals, they should be treated like animals. They made their stand at the Nuka-World power plant, which Shank said he had some people working on restoring to order. Essentially, the pack members were holding it hostage. Ricky wouldn't stand for that, so he met up with the gang leaders who hadn't betrayed him to lead an attack on the power plant. Having Nisha and Mags Black in the same room seemed like a dream, but William was there too, and he's kind of a buzzkill.
The boss is here. Mason's gathered up his animal goons and took the power plant.
I can't leave this place for 5 minutes without everything going to hell. The four of them went over the plan, which is actually pretty simple. Kill Mason and the other pack members standing in the way. Ricky and the bosses made their way up to the precarious power plant to push pause on the pack's perplexing power play. Clearing this place is pretty straightforward, but inside is a full set of T-60 power armor, so that's pretty neat. But making his way up to the roof, it was time for the final confrontation with Mason. A big final battle to decide who will be the one to rule Nuka-World. Mason, the Pax Alpha, is a fierce warrior who was never known defeat and he's dead. Yeah, it's sort of ironic that he was killed with the very same gun he gave to Ricky as a gift. Maybe he should have held on to it. Anyway, Mason was carrying the keys to the power plant, which meant that there was only one thing left to do. Push the big red button. What you're about to see is the reason it's best to do this quest at night. One by one, the park's lit up with fireworks and electric glow. With Nuka-World's power back online, the whole park is filled with lights, and some rides that were previously shut down can now be used, like the Nuka Galaxy, which honestly makes all the murder worth the effort just to ride this thing. And you get a Nuka Girl costume, which is pretty neat, but I don't think Ricky will be wearing it often. And with that, Ricky had officially become one of the most powerful individuals in the wasteland. With 2 loyal raider gangs under his command, there was nothing he couldn't do. But don't think this is the end. No, this is just the beginning. Nuka-World still has secrets to uncover, and the Commonwealth has plenty of settlements soon to be under the control of Ricky the Overboss. The Commonwealth is full of settlements, made up of local farmers working hard to provide for their families and make enough caps to get by in the dangerous wasteland. The settlers do their best to live their lives without being stuck under anyone's thumb. Ricky doesn't like that. Who is Ricky, you may ask? Well, in case you missed his previous escapades, Ricky is a raider who is smarter than the others. He sees raiding as a business, and a very profitable one at that. After taking control of the drug trade in the Commonwealth, Ricky took a trip to Nuka-World that led him to become the overboss of 3 raider gangs. And after proving his capabilities as a leader by taking control of Nuka-World's various parks, Ricky found himself in a position ready to take on the whole Commonwealth. A plan that was nearly cut short by one of the 3 raider gangs betraying him, but in the end, it only made Ricky and his new gang stronger. But now it's time for Ricky to get to business, and start taking land from those poor, helpless settlers. Oh, and collect some lost treasures hidden throughout Nuka-World. Ricky is still dealing with the fallout of the last episode, which means that there are still some pack members out in the wasteland who are hostile to him. Thankfully, the furries still don't pose a threat, but nearby some more mechanist robots were roaming around, which is becoming a more common and annoying occurrence. But after dealing with them, Ricky bought the Spray and Pray, which is an overpowered submachine gun that shoots exploding bullets, which he could afford from all the jet he sells. Anyway, Ricky returned to Nuka-World to meet with the gang bosses who didn't betray him to ask them, ask how they feel about how things went down at the power plant.
The pack being shown their way out of existence was certainly a pleasant surprise.
I'm sorry, but was that a compliment?
It was meant to be, but it's also a fact. Because what it took to get where you are now, the burned bridges, the salted earth, there is no going back. Like it or not, you're one of us. A cutthroat. A killer. A raider.
Max Black gifted Ricky a sniper rifle that he won't be using since he's running an automatic weapon build, but something thought that counts. After that, he went to speak with Nisha, you know, the crazy girl who uses corpses as home decor.
Not bad, boss. Not bad. You made good on your promise. We've got one less worthless gang to divvy up the spoils. A shame. I'd love to see the look on Mason's face one more time before you put him down. Some alpha, leading his pack into a death trap.
It's like dealing with some rotten kids / out for attention.
Not a bad comparison. The kid's part is dead on.
She gives him a knife, and I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that a goth girl giving you one of her knives means you're in. And after this, Ricky went and assigned Safari Adventure to the Disciples, because the pack sure as hell won't be using it anymore, on account of the fact that they are all currently or soon to be in hell. Also, fun fact, after you get the Nuka-World power plant back online, you can open this door to an enclosed employee area of the park, where you can find a magazine that gives you buffs if you have low caps. But since Ricky is rich in caps, this is basically worthless. But the more interesting new area to explore is the secret lab area in the bottling plant called the Beverageer Lab. Basically in here you find out that before the war, the Nuka-Cola Corporation got a bunch of scientists here to work on a military contract. This is where they figured out how to use radioactive isotopes to make Nuka-Cola Quantum with its distinctive glow. Also, they somehow figured out how to weaponize it. Yeah, they turned a soft drink into a radioactive explosive substance. so it's probably gonna give me cancer or worse, but you can't beat that taste, you know? But the main loot in here are these Nuka-Cola quantum grenades, and the ability to make the thirst zapper shoot weaponized pop instead of water. So it goes from a toy gun used once in a gimmick fight, to a weapon that you need to craft expensive ammo for, just to shoot some colorful explosions. But once they were out of there, Strong decided it was time to have another heart-to-heart, and so he told Ricky that he considered him as his leader. This gave Ricky a perk that is basically worthless to him, but whatever. Now onto something actually cool. Over here at the bottom of the map, you can find Evan's home, a location with an NPC the developers added as a tribute to a fan whose brother passed away. This is one of my favorite little details in the game, and I encourage you to look up the story behind this one. It's really quite wholesome. But Ricky's next stop is the Grandchester Mystery Mansion. A supposedly haunted house, but come on, this is obviously just some tourist trap. There's a bunch of traps in here set up by some gunner, and he's decently tough to fight, but after Ricky looted the place, he just got out of there. Ghosts aren't real, but that place was wicked creepy. Back in Nuka Town, Ricky was ready to fight yet another challenger in the Cola Cars arena. This time it was a raider in power armor who looked pretty intimidating, but once again, the problem solver solves problems. Anyway, who's ready for another silly side quest? Ricky met a group of crazies called the Habologists, a group that says they can expand your mind by shooting you with radiation. Oh, and that'll be 100 caps, thanks. But their leader asked for spacesuits to be collected from a place in the Galactic Zone Ricky hadn't visited yet. Vault-Tec Among the Stars. This is a cool exhibit where you see Vault-Tec's plan to build vaults on other planets, which is actually a pretty cool idea. Maybe I could build a settlement with that idea. Anyway, since this is Vault-Tec we're talking about, of course they use this place to run experiments on park visitors. So you get headaches and subliminal messaging as you go through this place. But Ricky had dealt with worse before and just grabbed the suits to bring back to Dara. He asked why they needed them, and she said they're going to wear them when they take a ship in the junkyard to space. Ricky told her that what she's looking at is clearly an amusement park ride, but Dara was like, no, your mind is limited. You can't see the vision I see. Anyway, at this point Ricky was just in it for the laughs, so he decided to go with them to the junkyard because they clearly wouldn't make it on their own. A cool thing about this location is that there's a porta diner in here that, unlike all the other ones, has a 100% chance to give you a perfectly preserved pie upon activation. Every other one in the game is luck-based, except for this one. But moving on, there's a sentry bot here that caused the game to crash, but after getting past him by way of cheeky self-destruct code, Ricky made it to the spaceship. Then after Dara gave a speech to her cultists, she gave Ricky an actual alien gun, like the one he himself got from killing an alien. So I don't know, maybe this chick really is from space. But her last request was to fix the spaceship, which was pretty easy. Just put this thing here and put 3 fusion cores in. Only 3 are needed, but 1 more can't hurt, right? Right? The ship lit up and everyone ran inside. Ricky started the ride and the ship started spinning faster and faster until...
I trust you're enjoying my company. You and I make quite an effective team.
Well, if they wanted to go to another plane of existence, they got their wish, huh? Next up on the to-do list is finish collecting all these dang star cores. The last one is to the top of the elevator ride that can now be accessed with the power on. And by slotting it into place, Ricky was able to lower the glass display case and grab the Quantum XO1, which I already ranted about the lore implications in the last video, but I mean, hey, it's the best power armor in the game, so grabbing it is a must. Ricky put it over here in the corner because he really won't be using it. Why did he bother collecting it then, you may ask? I don't know, man, I just collect these things, I got OCD. Another collectathon quest to do is grabbing these medallions that he tried and bringing them back to this robot, who insults you before giving a measly reward of a few bottles of Nuka-Cola. Okay, look, it sounds like I'm being negative, but I really do like this DLC. I think it's cool. What's that? Time to fight in the arena again. And it's a super mutant this time? Well, I wonder how this fight will go. Yeah, you get the idea. Okay, what else? While fighting some gunners on an overpass, this Assaultron fell off the side mid-laser, and it was pretty funny. Ricky also claimed the Nuka-World Red Rocket settlement, and if I can be completely honest with you, I don't feel like building at the settlement again since I already built a cool settlement here months ago. So if you want to see a cool raider outpost of this place, go watch this video. Okay, I've stalled enough. It's time to actually start taking over settlements and doing, you know, raider stuff. Like these random radiant quests you can get from the raider leaders. Mags asked for Ricky to kill a raider leader named Slough? I don't know. And Nisha asked for the assassination of some random scavenger in Diamond City. After breaking into this house in broad daylight, Ricky just told this guy to follow him, and he did for some reason. So he led him to his death in a back alley full of raiders, but he actually survived the fight, so Ricky just ended up finishing him off. On the way to the next target, Ricky saw a shack explode suddenly. Upon inspection, it seems there was a moonshiner here making a batch that somehow went so wrong it caused the entire shack to become a fireball. This is what happens when you don't wear your safety glasses in chemistry, folks. But a short walk later, Ricky arrived at an irradiated quarry full of ghoul raiders led by Slugh. Taking them out was pretty easy. However, in the depths of this quarry, Ricky stumbled upon the entrance to a vault, and after opening the door, some intercom lady was telling him he needed to activate the workbench to clear the rubble. Ricky cleared the way and took out the ghouls before realizing that one of them may have been the voice talking to him. Oh well, he was now in control of this cavernous workshop. Maybe he could build something here. A secluded place like this would make a great hideout. Sounds a lot better than whatever twisted plan Vault-Tec had for this place. Anyway, back to raiding. One of the settlements that Ricky bullied into giving him supplies in the past was the Slog. But since he left the pack in charge of keeping the settlers in line and they're all gone, the settlers now think they've been liberated. So Ricky made sure to remind them of how this arrangement works. Listen, you're going to start working for me now. Alright? Just keep the supplies coming, and we won't have any problems.
Fine, if it'll get you off my back.
But with that taken care of, Ricky can now claim another settlement to expand his empire. The next target was Coastal Cottage, currently under the control of some generic raiders. After clearing the place, Ricky surveyed the area, which actually kinda sucks, since there's this big hole in the middle of the cottage. It's clear this place needs some work. This'll do for now. There's a shop for the raiders to buy gear from, living in sleeping areas, and the hole in the ground has been made into a moonshine den. Hopefully this moonshine shack fares better than the other one. On the way to the next settlement to conquer, Gage felt the need to share his life story.
You know, I made some bad calls when I was younger. First gang took me in when I was 16. Decent sized group. I don't remember what muscle ass name he used back then. They weren't using it the best they could. Me being ever since was that never day, as intimidating nobody thought it was. At least not beyond that.
Quit worrying, man. Everything's fine. This gave Ricky another perk, which gives more XP per kill and more damage resistance. So this one's actually pretty good. Do I even need to tell you that Ricky defeated another person in the arena? Because he did. This time it was a gunner commander in power armor, but yeah, he died like all the rest. The next settlement on the chopping block was Taffington Boathouse, but it turns out a bunch of oversized bugs got to the settlers here before Ricky and the other raiders could get to them. Well, from a certain point of view, the bugs spared the settlers from a much worse fate. And that's another outpost setup, but on the way back to Nuka-World, Ricky noticed that some people had showed up at his new vault, expecting a place to live. It turns out Ricky had accidentally turned on a radio beacon when he first discovered the place, leading the settlers here. He couldn't risk anyone knowing about his future secret base, so he did what needed to be done. Back at the park, Ricky spoke with Shank to run some more jobs in the Commonwealth, like forcing Ten Pines Bluff into coughing up supplies for the outposts. Hard work has a lot more fun when you force someone else to do it for you. And another outpost to claim is Hangman's Alley, and I'll let you all in on a little secret. The great thing about claiming all these settlements is that it means I can turn them into future settlement tour videos. And honestly, I feel like I don't see many raider settlement tours, but they're fun to build in my opinion. Just a different vibe than the normal settlements. So in the future, you may see more of Ricky showing off these raider outposts once I get around to building them up. Anyway, after this, Ricky made his way south to claim one more outpost at Murkwater construction site. This settlement just sucks, I'll say it. Alright, look, you have to fight a Mirelid Queen just to get a destroyed house in a swamp to build at. That's like, whatever. The main thing is now that Ricky has 8 raider outposts, he can build a tribute chest at each one, where locals will come and give tribute to the Overboss out of fear. And with that, Ricky now has the Commonwealth in the palm of his hand. But there's still plenty he wants to accomplish, and gear he wants to collect. Like how upon returning to Nuka-World, he faced another opponent in the arena, who seems to be a Brotherhood of Steel knight gone rogue. Ricky hasn't met many members of the Brotherhood, but this knight was carrying a Gatling laser that literally never needs to be reloaded. Yeah, for some reason, the never-ending legendary effect in this thing doesn't just mean that you don't have to reload it, but it literally never runs out of fusion core charge. It's kinda broken, but it also weighs 20 pounds, so that makes it kinda inconvenient to use. And the final thing Ricky kept forgetting about was going around the park to find these hidden cappies for some crazy Nuka-Cola fangirl. Each of these make up part of a code for some pre-war contest to meet John Caleb Bradburton, the inventor of Nuka-Cola.
Well, anyone who stared at Nuka-Cola merchandise as long as I have would get this one pretty fast. The letters definitely spell refreshing. It's simpler than I was expecting.
Of course it's simple. The contest was meant for kids.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I guess sometimes I take all of this Nuka-Cola stuff so seriously. That's it! The door's unlocked! Let's go inside.
By entering the code, Sierra, Ricky, and his goon squad gained entrance to the office. Surely there had to be something cool inside here. And sure enough, there was a secret button that moved a bookshelf to reveal an elevator. This led down to a secret hidden vault underneath the office. A mystery to be sure, but inside was a large room and a frozen head?
No. It can't be. That's John Caleb Bradburton! Or at least it's his head. Wow.
Who are you? I haven't seen a real human face in so long. I had given up all hope.
It seems to be that Bradburton had his head frozen before the war to prolong his life. This is one of my favorite little Easter eggs in the game, since this is obviously a reference to the frozen Walt Disney conspiracy theory, and honestly it just fits right into Fallout. But after the initial surprise of finding him alive, Bradburton gave a pretty good offer. He would give access to the safe containing a powerful prototype weapon if Ricky simply turned off the machine that's been keeping him alive the past 200 years. Sierra wasn't happy about this since she idolizes the man, but Ricky doesn't really care.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but... what's your decision?
No deal. I want that prototype, and I'm gonna get it.
You really want to condemn one of the greatest minds of his generation to die, even though I've offered you a better option. And just so you can get your hands on a weapon?
Ricky flipped the switch, and John Caleb Bradburton took his final breath. Or was he even breathing before? Like, does a frozen head need to breathe? Whatever. This allowed Ricky to acquire the Nuka Nuke launcher, a fat man that shoots quantum mini-nukes. For some reason, 2 of them spawned here, and I genuinely have no idea why. Anyway, the original formula for Nuka-Cola is in here, and Sierra wanted it, so Ricky gave it to her as a sort of sorry for killing your hero consolation prize. But to show you the amazing destructive power of the Nuka Nuke launcher, Ricky almost one-shotted this Mirelurk Queen. Ignore the fact that the first shot missed. Ah well, another fine addition to the collection of weapons from Nuka-World that are really cool but extremely impractical to use for one reason or another. But now Ricky is in a position to finally finish his mission of taking over the Commonwealth. He's taking control of many settlements and has the support of a huge raider army, but there are still threats to his empire that need to be taken care of. The Triggerman, the Mechanist, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Institute, the Railroad. Okay, yeah, that last one was a joke. They're not a threat. But seriously, he might wipe them out anyway. While scouring the north end of Boston, searching for a troublesome raider leader named Slab, Ricky came upon an old building under siege by the boss's raider gang. After taking them out and entering the rather unassuming building, it soon became abundantly clear that this was the art gallery of the psychotic painter Pikman. Ricky had heard of this Pikman before, how he uses the remains of his victims to create art pieces. Ricky honestly thinks he has a cool style, but all of Pikman's victims are raiders, which puts Ricky and his friends as targets for the psycho. It seems that Slab's gang was searching the building to find Pikman and take him down, but as soon as they saw the Overboss of Nuka-World show up, they attacked. Ricky took them out and explored the art gallery, which also seemed to be Pikman's home. Among the art pieces and traps to keep invaders out, Ricky found a safe containing the diary of this madman. In it, Pikman described his grand designs to wipe out the various factions of the Commonwealth by way of high-powered explosives. Pikman admits these plans are far too great for him to pursue on his own, but perhaps some industrious individual could make these ideas a reality. Imagine if one man could single-handedly take out all opposing factions, all of his competition. The Commonwealth would be his to rule. But for now, the raiders downstairs had breached the door to the lower levels, where Pikman was hiding out. Ricky carefully made his way through the tunnels until he reached the room where Slab and the raiders were confronting the madman himself.
You can hunt and torture our people to your heart's content. I'm gonna enjoy killing you.
Ricky took out his main target, the leader Slab, and his entourage, leaving Pikman left to deal with.
Those people deserve worse than death.
Maybe you deserve the same.
So saith one born killer to another. Regardless, I pay my debts.
He was thankful for the help, offering a knife as a gift to be found upstairs. But this left Ricky in a delicate situation. Pikman either didn't know Ricky was a raider and he would eventually find out, or already knew and was biding his time to strike. Ricky didn't like either option here, so he decided to play it safe and take out Pikman himself. With one more threat in the Commonwealth taken care of, Ricky made his way back to the gallery to claim the prize hidden behind a painting. Inside is Pikman's blade, which has the legendary effect of making people bleed. I would think all knives did that, but whatever. But with another problem taken care of, Ricky could continue his quest of wasteland domination. Along the way, he came across 2 quantum deathclaws on a roof, which I didn't even realize was an enemy type in the game. Apparently this is cut content, so I'm not sure what mod I have that makes these possible to spawn. Anyway, after this, Ricky went to the Boston Common, the home of one of the most dangerous and scary creatures in the whole Commonwealth. Swan, a super mutant behemoth living in the Swan Pond, so deadly that every wastelander knows to avoid the area and he's dead. Yeah, the problem solver solves problems. This was merely a pit stop on the way to Park Street Station, the home of the gangsters led by Skinny Malone. He was becoming more of a nuisance for Ricky, causing trouble for him and his gangs in the downtown area, so it was high time for Ricky to deal with this problem. Permanently. Inside Park Street subway station lies a well-fortified vault, but the Triggermen are very easy to deal with. For fun, Ricky learned how to intimidate his enemies to make them stop fighting, which is pretty cool. Also, side note here, I turned the difficulty up to hard because the combat here was getting mind-numbingly easy. Yes, I've been playing on normal difficulty this whole time. Look, I considered playing on survival for this run, but for the sake of making a video, it's just less of a hassle to playing on a non-survival difficulty, so, okay. Anyway, I'll just say combat's gonna be a bit more engaging and challenging for me now. But inside the vault, Ricky found this detective.
Ah, my knight in shining armor. Question is, why does he come all this way and risk life and limb? An old private eye.
I don't know, it seemed like you needed help.
Well, thanks.
Ricky cleared through the enemies all while Nick went on and on about his detective work. But upon reaching Skinny Malone, Ricky used his charm to convince Darla to turn on the big boss. Skinny's no good for you, Darla. You put a bullet in him, and I just might let you go.
Wow.
This worked, but as Ricky shot at the others, she died because it turns out explosive rounds explode. After leaving the underground, Nick said he's on his way back to Diamond City, where his home and office are located. He offered Ricky his services should he ever need them, and while Ricky doesn't need a detective at the moment, who knows? Maybe in the near future he may. But while working that plan out, he decided to finally do that quest for Ada, the robot he found in the last episode who's been following him around ever since. It was something about the Mechanist, some mysterious individual sending out deadly robots into the wasteland, wreaking havoc. The first stop was the General Atomics factory. Pretty simple gig here, just fight the robots and then make the boss robot explode with wall hacks. Ricky then spoke with Ada and learned that the lead robot had a radar beacon that can be used to discover the location of the Mechanist. Also while in here, Ricky learned how to be a maid robot. Back at base, Ricky installed the part to upgrade Ada. Also, since he'd be fighting more robots in the near future, Ricky figured it would be a good idea to build a new Assaultron to help with the upcoming battles, and he gave her a funny name. This led to a big battle with Mechanist robots, pack members, random settlers, and now Ricky. Ultimately, this led to the discovery that Ricky would have to take on a base of raiders known as the Rust Devils. Ricky had heard of this gang. They scrap and use robots to do their raider business, which is honestly pretty cool. But an alliance with them is out of the picture, which means they're next on the chopping block. They make their base in an old military satellite array in Fort Hagen, so that was Ricky's next target. Along the way, he found this cool shack with makeshift rockets. But as for actually dealing with the Rust Devils, it was pretty easy since Ricky can just hack their robots. Deep inside the base, Ricky saw the robo-brain he was looking for, guarded by a sleeping sentry bot, so he placed down some plasma mines on the floor. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. But speaking to the robo-brain, he found out her name is Jezebel, and she's one of the robots who does the Mechanist dirty work. She revealed that she could share information to help Ricky get to the Mechanist if he helps her get out of here. Ricky agreed, but as soon as he grabbed her head, the sentry bot awoke. The bot, named Ahab, barely got any shots off before running over the mines and blowing up. This is why you plan ahead, kids. In the next room, Ricky spent a little too long playing a cool holotape game before clearing through the rest of the Rust Devils. Ricky then made it to the top, where the Raider leader Ivy and an Assaultron succubus were waiting. Assaultron succubus, now that's something I didn't know I needed. Thankfully, it's fairly easy to turn this robot against her master for an easy win and get this cool power armor and Tesla gun. And at the end, Ricky grabbed a salvaged Assaultron head, which is actually a pretty terrible weapon since it irradiates you every time you use it, but it's a cool concept. Outside, Ricky flirted a little with Ada. Your personality defines you as a person. Never let that go.
You're right.
Then he went home to build Jezebel a new body, and despite making the most perfect robot form possible, she still didn't like it.
This body you've selected for me isn't quite what I had envisioned, but it will have to suffice.
But she told Ricky all the information he would need to both find and infiltrate the Mechanist lair. She also revealed that the Mechanist ordered her to help the people of the Commonwealth, and the robots decided the best way to help people is by killing them. Who knew Ricky had been helping people all this time? Anyway, now Ricky and the gang were off to the Mechanist lair, which is located in an old Robco store. This location was actually a front for a military facility with an overly complex secret door. Another side note, I love this dungeon. It has a cool design, tons of loot, enemies to fight, and you have all these cool set pieces. Upon entering, Ricky was careful to avoid the laser tripwires, but McCready messed things up and activated them. Ricky quickly hacked the terminal to shut down security, and there was another terminal in this room next to an elevator that leads to the control center. It was tough to crack, but unlocking it didn't open the door. It would need the voice authorization of 3 facility managers. Well, they're more than likely dead, but perhaps there may yet be another way to activate this elevator. one of the Mechanist iBots appeared to deliver a message. The Mechanist called Ricky the Scourge of the Commonwealth, which, to be completely honest, he kind of is. But from here on out, it was pretty straightforward. Fight robots, hack robots, pick up all the junk in sight. He did come across the lead engineer's holotape, which Ricky realized he could use for the voice authorization. However, he would need to find 2 more holotapes from the other managers for this to work. As Ricky made his way through the facility, the Mechanist left more messages, each more desperate than the last. Ricky found the facilities director holotape, and now he had 2 of the 3 he needed. As he explored further, he realized this building was used before the war to harvest prisoners' brains to put into robots. This led to the creation of the Robo-Brain. Needless to say, things didn't go very well. But in this section, Ricky found the chief scientist holotape, the last one he would need. He approached the final room where it seemed like the Mechanist wanted a big final battle, but Ricky had other plans. He ran back through the facility to the terminal and loaded each recording into the voice authorization system. Once all 3 were scanned, the elevator opened. This went right down into the Mechanist's sanctum, much to the surprise of the Mechanist herself.
Impossible! I control all points of access to this room.
Well, obviously, you don't.
A regretful miscalculation.
Oh, yeah, the Mechanist is a girl. It's supposed to be a big reveal, but it's not that crazy. Also, it turns out she's an idiot who didn't think to check if the robots were killing people or not. So she's smart enough to build and program an entire robot army, but not smart enough to just look outside. But apparently she did genuinely want to help the people of the Commonwealth, but if anything, that only made Ricky respect her less.
This doesn't have to end in violence.
That's where you're wrong, Mechanist. The only way this ends is with violence.
Why did I have a feeling you'd say that?
He finally used that alien gun he'd been carrying around because why not, honestly? Now the Mechanist is dead and Ricky is in control of the facility. A secret underground bunker like this could be used for a lot of fun ideas. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now, because the haters will sabotage me. Ricky spoke with Ada about how she feels now that she's gotten revenge for her friends, but unfortunately this doesn't unlock the option to romance her because Todd Howard didn't have the balls to do it. Until Fallout 76, that is. Also, now that he has all the robot mods unlocked, he made some modifications to his other Assaultron companion to give her a more dangerous raider vibe. But after taking out the Mechanist, Ricky realized that taking out one person is easy. Wiping out all the other factions, however, wouldn't be so simple. With them, he can't just barge in with his goon squad like a raider. He would need to be smart and infiltrate the factions to take them out from the inside. And Ricky decided the best place to start would be the Brotherhood of Steel. He had seen them fighting ghouls in Cambridge before, but steered clear to avoid any altercations. But now he would need to approach them, to learn more about their faction. But to do this, he would need to assume a new identity. It's time for Ricky the Raider to become Randy, the regular guy. Yeah, it's pretty shocking how much a shave and a haircut can change things. And since he's going undercover, this means Ricky needs to part with his current squad. He told Gage to head back to Nuka-World to keep an eye on things there, 16-9R to guard the home front, and asked McCready to leave simply because he was getting annoying. But as for Strong the Super Mutant, Ricky gave him the important role of maintaining Abernathy Farm, which produces all the fertilizer needed for his jet business. Since the farm has been growing so large, Ricky needs someone to manage it for him, so Strong is now the mayor of this settlement, with his own decorated office. So now it will just be Randy, and Ada adventuring together. Not that he minds getting some alone time with her, but the two of them made their way to Cambridge Police Station, where he met Paladin Dance, Scribe Haitlin, and Knight Reese. They're soldiers in a greater army, but they need a certain transmitter to contact the full Brotherhood force, so Randy offered to help them.
Now why don't you run off and see if Top needs you to do anything else?
Paladin Dance does this cool helmet flip, and the two of them head out to find the tech thing that they need. Overall, it was a fairly boring walk, but they ran into McCready of all people, so that was interesting. But soon enough, they made it to ArcJet Systems, a building where a company before the war was working on space rockets. The place was infested with synths, and Ricky showed off a few times while scouring the place for all the junk he could carry. I mean all the junk Ada could carry. But to speed things along, Dance was trapped in a room with a bunch of synths, and then Ricky pushed this button to activate the rocket, which blasted them all away and left him with a ton of free fusion cells. I'm sure Dance is fine, don't worry about him. But then he got the thing, went outside, Dance gave him a weapon he'll never use, and then he asked if Randy would join the Brotherhood. He accepted, but without sharing the motivations behind his decision. So Randy is now a member of the Brotherhood, who have no idea they just allowed the most cunning raider in the Commonwealth into their ranks. But the Institute is still a mystery, and definitely still a threat, so Ricky sought out the railroad to learn more. He followed the Freedom Trail, which literally leads right to their secret base, and the password to get into the railroad is Railroad. Like, seriously? The faction all about spycraft and espionage has their secret password as their name? How dumb are they, really? Anyway, Randy met Desdemona, the leader of this faction. Now, he probably could have just gunned them all down right here, but instead he spoke to them in the hopes that they could help him learn more about the Institute. To get inside their base, Randy would need to run a job with Deacon, who also likes to pretend to be somebody else.
Let me break it down for you.
Randy and Deacon met up outside the railroad's old base in Lexington. While scouting out the place, Ricky met... Ricky? He was kinda rude, but apparently important for the mission, according to Deacon. But still, there can be only one. So Randy and Deacon entered the base through the escape tunnel, and Deacon revealed that they were looking for some prototype tech that was left behind there. The base that the railroad was using before the Institute found them was actually a pre-war secret government intelligence facility, so that's neat, I guess. They fought through some synths and found the thingy, and Deacon gave Ricky one of the few guns in Fallout 4 that doesn't look terrible because it's based off a real-life weapon, and not an amalgamation of vaguely gun-looking parts. Randy returned to the railroad base and decided to join them in the hopes that they could tell him more about the Institute. But it turns out they only really care about helping synths and know nothing of the Institute's location. But he went inside their base anyway, and hello, beautiful.
I was, am, and will most likely be Pam, predictive analytic machine.
Hi, Pam.
Introductory token recognized. Hello.
Randy considered working with this faction in the hopes that they could find a way into the Institute, but after one conversation with this guy, he changed his mind.
Oh, I wasn't aware we were competing for congeniality awards. I thought we were rescuing synths. My mistake.
So the railroad, to no one's surprise, is useless, but there may still be a way for Ricky to find information about the Institute. Nick Valentine, the detective Ricky rescued by accident, is an Institute synth, so maybe he knows something. Randy made his way back to Diamond City and stopped by the schoolhouse to grab this magazine and convince this guy and this robot to get married. Because that's a completely acceptable thing and not weird, and I don't know what people say it's weird, it's not, it's totally normal. Anyway, Randy went to Valentine's detective agency, and Nick said that he couldn't share anything new about the Institute, but he had heard a rumor that they were involved in something that happened at Vault 111. The very same vault that Ricky killed a dweller from. Perhaps investigating this vault could lead to a discovery about the Institute. Ricky returned to Vault 111, where this all began. Turns out that vault dweller he killed had his wife murdered and his son kidnapped by the Institute. Also, there's a cool weapon down here. Yeah? Get it? It's cool because it freezes people? Yeah. Ricky went back to Nick to discuss this, and he seemed to think that a man named Kellogg could be behind this. He used to live in Diamond City, so Randy and Nick broke into his house. After searching the place, they found a clue that Kellogg is holed up in Fort Hagen. So Ricky set off to the old military base to find the man who could lead him to the Institute. He had to fight through more synths and collect every piece of scrap before coming face to face with the man himself. So where is it? The Institute. How do I get there?
Haven't you been paying attention? You don't find the Institute. The Institute finds you.
Then the two of them fight because this is how the game is hard-coded for progression. Now, you're probably expecting me to say that the problem solver solved this problem, but in fact it was a case where the correct choice was to spray and pray, since this guy can turn invisible. So Kellogg is dead, but reading his terminal revealed that his next assignment was to hunt down a rogue scientist in the glowing sea. Yes, I'm skipping that quest because it's stupid. But upon leaving Fort Hagen, Ricky looked to the sky and saw...
People of the Commonwealth. Do not interfere. Our intentions are peaceful. We are the Brotherhood of Steel.
The Brotherhood of Steel arrived in their big airship, but you know what they say, what goes up? Randy made his way back to the Cambridge police station to meet up with Dance, and the two of them took a ride up to the airship. He then listened to a speech given by Elder Maxon before speaking with him directly.
I care about them, you know. The people of the Commonwealth.
If you cared about them, you'd leave them to their own devices.
Leaving them to their own devices is what reduced this metropolis to ruins in the first place.
Regardless, up here Randy was promoted to Knight, which means he gets his own suit of power armor, to add to his collection of better ones. He did meet the major members of the Brotherhood though, including this British nerd, this lady with no legs, a guy locked in a room which Ricky unlocked to no consequences. Oh, and he had to take a medical exam with this guy.
Have you ever had sexual relations with any species considered non-human?
No, never have. He also made sure to take anything that wasn't nailed down in this thing, because why not? Anyway, after this, Randy was assigned his first real mission, to clear out this island that hasn't loaded in yet. This was pretty simple, honestly. Hop into Vertibird, shoot some mutants, land, shoot more mutants, go inside, shoot more mutants, go downstairs, okay, you get the picture. The next task that Elder Maxon assigned was to find information about the Institute, which was already on the to-do list, so Ricky made use of his new suit of power armor to travel to the glowing sea. now his only lead on how to find the Institute. Along the way, he used his hacking skill to get an Assaultron to follow him around, and she was awesome, killing anything in her path until a Deathclaw got the best of her. Ricky continued on and found some people who are somehow not ghouls despite living in the most irradiated place in the wasteland. But they said that someone came this way and was hiding in a cave nearby. This must be the person Kellogg was tasked with hunting down. Turns out this man, or I guess he used to be a man, is an Institute scientist named Virgil, living in a cave with terrible lighting. He was surprised that Ricky killed Kellogg, but he said that he could help him get into the Institute. But it wouldn't be easy. Ricky would need to first kill a Courser, one of the Institute's elite hunters. Virgil also said something about needing a serum in the Institute in return for helping get inside, and yeah, I'm sure Ricky will remember to do that. But now it was time to do some Courser hunting. The search began at the ruins of the Commonwealth Institute of Technology, where he picked up a signal that led him to an old research company office. Inside, the Courser was clearing through some gunners, and Ricky made his way through the building, taking out the mercs and taking the loot. At the top of the building, the Courser was interrogating some gunners for some door code before Ricky confronted him face to face.
Are you here for the synth?
It's not why I'm here.
If you're not here for the synth, then you're here for me. What do you want?
I'm here to kill you, and take what's inside your head.
That you cannot have.
Now, Coursers are supposed to be difficult enemies who can use stealth boys to turn invisible. But as you should expect by now, the problem solver solves problems. Though Ada's contribution can't be ignored in this fight, to be fair. Ricky then cleared the room and got to take in a nice view of the Boston skyline. He then begrudgingly made his way back to the railroad to get the Courser chip analyzed, which was super boring. The most interesting part was watching the chip vibrate in the decoder doohickey. Then Ricky returned to Virgil, yada yada get the teleporter schematics, yada yada return to the Brotherhood to build the thing, yada yada Maxon yammering about some important mission, yada yada, and oh hey, look at that, Ricky's now in the Institute. Finally, after all this time, he had found them, the elusive Institute, the boogeyman of the Commonwealth, and the greatest threat to Ricky's Raider Empire. Over the loudspeaker, a voice guided Ricky through the Institute, which actually looks kinda nice compared to the wasteland. But Ricky thinks their decorations could use a bit of Raider flair to spice things up. But then Ricky came face to face with this kid? What the hell are you doing in there?
Who are you?
Then some old guy walked through a door and said the magic word to make the kid shut up. Turns out he was a robot. Yeah, the Institute is weird. They love to do this thing of replacing people with robots. It's one of the main reasons why Ricky wants to get rid of these guys. Also, now that he knows they're all nerds, he just wants to destroy them even more. But the director, named Father, who may or may not have a god complex, actually welcomed Ricky into the Institute, believing him to be someone who could help them achieve their goals. Ricky played along, introducing himself to everyone while taking all their shiny doodads and admiring their showers, running water, and toilet paper. Yeah, Ricky will be taking a lot of souvenirs from this place. He also got to see how synths are made, so that's neat. But now everything was in place for Ricky to initiate the final phase of his plan. He had infiltrated each of the major factions in the Commonwealth, which meant that he could begin his scheme to destroy them all. And because each faction hates each other and thinks Randy's on their side, when he destroys a faction, the other will think he's still with them, and by the time they realize, it'll be too late. The first target was the railroad, since they would be the easiest to deal with. He made his way into their HQ, bringing only Ada along since these guys wouldn't be too much effort. While grabbing everything valuable, Ricky honestly considered sparing these guys since there's no way they'll ever pose a threat to his empire, but he figured it was better to be safe than sorry in this case. Ricky found a few good places to plant explosives, but it was going to be difficult to place them without arousing suspicion. So we opted for a different strategy, the direct one. Say it with me now, everyone. The problem solver solves problems. After wiping out all the members present at HQ, Ricky tried to convince Pam to come with him, but she couldn't be persuaded. Deacon also happened to show up late to the party, so Ricky took him out as well. But then it was simply a matter of detonating the explosives and watching the railroad base cave in on itself. So yeah, the railroad was easy, but the next target will be much more difficult. The Brotherhood of Steel and their airship. But as always, Ricky had a plan. He donned his power armor and reported back to Elder Maxon to report his success in infiltrating the Institute. Heading to the Priblin's main deck, and this is where the gas balloons keeping the ship afloat are kept. To take out the airship, Ricky would need to place a bomb on these, but first he set up a private meeting with Elder Maxon. No matter how cool his code is, it couldn't protect him from several bullets to the head. The rest of the Brotherhood immediately noticed something was wrong, and Ricky took advantage of this by chucking in the synth relay grenades he had picked up in the Institute. This chaos helped him by clearing the way and making the Brotherhood think the Institute was attacking. But soon enough it came down to Ricky to be the one to clear out the troops on the ship, including Paladin Nance, but he was impossible to kill, so Ricky simply moved on. He planted the explosive device after clearing out most of the troops, and also noticed that there were some children on the ship, squires the Brotherhood was training. Now, Ricky may be evil, but he isn't child killer evil, so he let them escape. This makes Ricky better than a certain defense force that may or may not begin with the letter I. Those kids must have taken the last vertibird, which meant that Ricky had to jump down to the airport, but thankfully that's what the power armor is for. Down here there were more soldiers to take out and bits of loot to grab. But making his way to his Nordhagen beach outpost, Ricky got to watch the fireworks as the Pridwen crashed down. And just like that, another threat had been eliminated from the Commonwealth. But not completely, as 2 of his outposts came under attack by Brotherhood forces. It seems they've uncovered Ricky's true identity too little too late. With only the Institute left to take out, Randy the regular guy became Ricky the Raider once more. The last time he was in the Institute, he did some sneaking around to find out there were some old sewers under CIT that led into the Institute's reactor. In this room, Ricky simply had to secure a bomb to the reactor core and fight off the few synths on this level. The Institute had become aware of his scheme, but before they could deploy their full force, Ricky teleported away. Ricky found himself atop the mass fusion building, with its great view of downtown Boston, which for some reason didn't load in properly. No matter, Ricky could still activate the bomb, and he and Ada watched as the Institute erupted into a pillar of fire.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
And that was it. He had done it. Ricky, once a lowly raider, had wiped out every faction in the Commonwealth who would oppose him. As he looked over the city, he realized that everything he could see belonged to him. All of it. So that, dear viewer, was the story of Ricky the Raider. For now at least, though I'm not ruling out the possibility of him returning in the future. There's always more adventures to go on, so let's call this the Season 1 finale, alright? Anyway, I'd like to give credit to a couple of mods that made this series possible. The first being the mod Start Me Up, named after one of my favorite Rolling Stones songs. This allows you to play Fallout 4 as a character other than the sole survivor, which really opens up the roleplay opportunities in my opinion. The next mod is Diary of a Madman, which adds the quest to destroy all the factions by yourself. And check out the mod team behind that one. They have a few other mods that completely overhaul the story of Fallout 4. So that is the story of Ricky the Raider, the greatest raider the Commonwealth has ever seen. The idea for this series came from wanting to do a more evil playthrough of Fallout 4, which the game has plenty of opportunities to do, but I often find it difficult to choose those when playing as a sole survivor. But with a few mods, you can really open up the roleplay options in the game, and I wanted to show that off. Maybe I even inspired you to start a new playthrough of your own. Anyway, I'd like to thank everyone who's watched the series as I've made each episode, and the people who are only just finding out about it with this video. I hope it was entertaining to watch in full, and I hope you stick around on the channel. More content on the way soon. Bye for now.